Good afternoon, everybody. Again, it is Catherine Cole, and this is my channel where we talk all things fragrance and beauty. You guys know I love the Terenzi family, whether that be Paolo Terenzi or Tiziana Terenzi. All of their fragrances are works of art, and I love experiencing nearly every fragrance that I have tried by those two artists. Today's is no different. If you guys watch my channel, you also know that I have a great love of Greek mythology. When I was, God, my voice gets so deep when I do these videos. Anyway, when I was little, I had a babysitter named Carrie. And for my bedtime stories, I would always ask her to tell me these Greek mythology stories because I just was so enamored with them. And that's one thing that I love about the Tiziana Terenzi. Not all of them, but some of their fragrances get into astrology or Greek mythology, particularly Canto. So today I am once again going to enchant you with a Greek mythology story around a Canto fragrance known as Psyche. Firstly, let's just take a moment and look at this beautiful bottle. It is all silver. Then the label is Psyche Canto, as well as the lid. I mean, everything about Tiziana Terenzi or Paolo Terenzi fragrances is ornate and just totally aesthetically pleasing in every way, whether that be sensorial, just completely sensorial. It's obviously gorgeous. It smells delicious. I love me some Terenzi. Bottom line. If learning about Psyche, the fragrance, as well as the myth, sounds of interest to you, please stick around. I went as a Grecian goddess as I could for this video. So I'm going to start by applying the fragrance and then we'll discuss it. So let's start by talking about the fragrance itself, and then I will share with you some mythology around Psyche. So Psyche by Canto is considered a floral fruity fragrance for both women and men. It was launched in 2020. Obviously the nose behind it, Paolo Terenzi. The top notes of the fragrance include magnolia, Nepalese ginger, white lily, blue lotus, bergamot, Sorrento, lemon, and Sicilian orange. Middle notes include ambergris, Tahitian vetiver, Siamese benzoin, Italian lavender, and red berries. Base notes include cedarwood, birchwood, brown sugar, vanilla bean, tonka bean, and oak moss and musk. As with all Terenzi fragrances, I struggle to describe the fragrance or the scent of the fragrance that you experience with this perfume. Frangradika, as I said, considers it a floral fruity. That's not necessarily the experience that I have. I think it smells fresh and floral and woodsy, in my opinion. And I don't mean woodsy like a deep cedarwood type woods, more like a pine tree type woods, like fresh, crisp, effervescent type woods. When you first spray on the fragrance, you do experience that floral freshness juxtaposed with the citrus fruits, the bergamot, the lemon, the orange, and they intertwine in a way that it's hard to decipher one note over the next. You just get like a crisp, effervescent floral. Then evolves into more of that berry mixed with the woods, the oak moss. So you get more of a rounded underbelly, but still with that crisp freshness. The aphrodisiac ambergris mixed with the vetiver gives you that more lulling experience, but still blending aspect of the fragrance, but it mixes with the lavender and the red berries to still keep you guessing, more or less. And then as the fragrance settles, you're left with more of the woodsy nature, the oak moss, the cedarwood, the birch, but still rounded out with the musk and the sweetness of the sugar and the vanilla berry. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So Avant Garde was generous enough to gift me this fragrance, but it's one that I would have purchased anyway. It's one that I've been wanting for years. It is such a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Whether it leans more masculine or feminine, according to Frangradika, it leans more feminine. However, I would say personally it leans more masculine, but maybe that's because of how I experience it when I personally wear it. As I repeatedly say, fragrance is a very personal experience. And fragrances smell different on different people depending on your own personal DNA, we'll say. In terms of the sillage and the duration of this fragrance, Terenzi fragrances, in my opinion, is no comparison when it comes to duration and sillage. These fragrances they will last a lifetime on you. You can shower and you will still experience a fragrance. It might be more of a skin scent, but it will still be on you. It's the quality of ingredients that they use in their fragrances. There is no comparison. These fragrances are the epitome of high quality. In terms of sillage, since it is a more, in my opinion, more aromatic fragrance, floral fruity according to Fragrantica, the sillage might not be that of, it's not going to enter the room before you do. It's not going to stay in the room after you leave. However, whoever is in the room while you are there will be loving your presence. I'll say that. In terms of, many times I coordinate fragrances with an outfit per se so that you can envision, I guess, have a pictorial reference to what I envision with this fragrance. This one's a tough one though. I would say something crisp, something classic, maybe Audrey Hepburnish. Or, I don't know, I think of old Hollywood, Greta Garbo, Fred Astaire, something like that, where it's just classic and classy, It's beautiful, it's rare, it's unique, it's original, it's goddess-like, it's seductive, it's breathless, it's beautiful. As I was saying about the bottle, each bottle is handmade, gold leafing, so this is silver leafing, and each is done by hand, decorated with ancient techniques by skilled craftsmen. Each bottle is pure beauty, which is represented and correlates with the story behind it. So now let's get into the story of Psyche. So Psyche is known as the goddess of the soul. The name Psyche means soul and butterfly in Greek. So she's often represented a beautiful woman with butterfly wings. She was born a mortal woman, but eventually was granted immortality through her marriage. Get comfortable. Get a drink. So, here's the story. A king and queen had 3 daughters. Psyche was the youngest and most beautiful of the 3. She apparently had beauty so superior that she was compared to Aphrodite, who was known as the goddess of beauty and love and seduction and all of those things. Many said that she was even more beautiful. Psyche's beauty was so profound that many would travel just to experience her beauty. She was offered gifts and offerings, much like a temple, which of course bothered Aphrodite, whose temple was now neglected because the people were coming to see Psyche as opposed to visit the temple of Aphrodite. The goddess Aphrodite was obviously very enraged that mortals were choosing to worship a fellow mortal rather than herself. So as punishment, Aphrodite sent her son Cupid, known as Eros, to pierce her with one of his arrows and cause her to fall madly in love with the hideous monster. Cupid had the ability to make people fall in love, hence with his arrows. So Eros did what he was asked by his mother to do, and approached her in her sleep to touch her with one of his arrows. However, Psyche awoke and Cupid accidentally wounded himself with one of his arrows, causing himself to fall madly in love with Psyche. Meanwhile, both of her sisters, who were obviously incredibly jealous of her beauty, went on to marry kings themselves, but their jealousy needs to be noted because we will come back to that later. So everyone kept admiring Psyche for her beauty, and because of this, she wasn't able to wed another mortal because everybody was more content in worshiping her and appreciating her beauty rather than, I guess, loving her and choosing to wed her. You just hate it when that happens. I'm familiar, we'll say. Just kidding. So the king and queen are obviously very disturbed of this as they can't marry off their daughters. So they went to get assistance and consult the oracle of Delphi, in the temple of Apollo. So for whatever reason that I don't completely understand with the story, but the Apollo, the oracle, tells the king to despair because his daughter's going to marry a beast that even the gods fear. So dress her in funeral clothes and take her to a high peak, because there she's going to meet her doom. Obviously heartbroken, he obeys the god's orders. Psyche's taken to this high spire to meet her fate and waits for the beast, but the beast never comes. Eros is said to be there, but he's invisible, so she can't see him. And Zephyros, the Greek lord of the west wind, carries Psyche to a safe place. She falls into a deep sleep. When she awakens, she finds herself in a palace made of gems and gold. So she hears this invisible voice that tells Psyche to make herself at home, that everything there belongs to her. She does. She takes a bath, she has a feast, makes herself at home. So it's then somehow she finds out that the invisible person, the voice that she's hearing, belongs to her husband, which kind of, I mean, she didn't know she was married. I mean, women just ended up married there, I guess. So anyway, her new husband, the invisible man, visits her only at night, forbidding her to look upon his face, and he doesn't share his name. He explains to her that it's better for her to just love him as a mortal rather than see him as godly. So first week at the palace, Psyche, she's filled with pleasures. She gets to do all this stuff. She's given all of this stuff. She does kind of fear the invisible man, but she grows to love him. During the day, of course, she gets lonely because she's all alone and looks forward to the nighttime when her invisible husband comes home. But, she's lonely during the day. So she asks her husband if it's okay to reach out to her sisters. So her sisters, of course, had assumed that she had died when she fell off the cliff, so they've been in mourning. Now, Eros takes pity on her and allows her to invite her sisters to the palace. So then Zephyros, god of the wind, carries her sisters to the palace. They were already jealous of her and her beauty, and now they see that she lives in this palace of gems and gold, even more jealous of her good fortune. So they ask questions about Psyche's husband and decide to trick her. At first, Psyche, of course, she doesn't know her husband. Maybe she's embarrassed about it, so she lies to her sisters. And she tells them that he's a hunter. He's gone during the day. That's why they'll never see him. With prodding, Psyche eventually confesses that she's never seen her husband and she doesn't even know his name. In their anger and jealousy, they convince Psyche that her husband must be a monster, he must be this villainous creature, and she must see for herself who exactly her husband is. Psyche, convinced by her sister, sneaks up on Eros as he sleeps with an oil lamp and a knife. As Psyche shone the light up to Eros's face with the knife, she accidentally drips some hot oil onto Eros. It burns Eros. He's in pain. He feels betrayed by his wife, who, he had insisted that he stay invisible. She thinks of him as immortal, yada, yada, yada. And now, she betrayed him. So he's upset. He flies off to his mother, Aphrodite. Remember, Aphrodite, who also is not a huge fan of Psyche because she's more beautiful than her. As he flies off to his mother, Psyche immediately finds herself in a destitute field near where her sisters live. The palace, the gold, the gems, everything, all disappears. Psyche confesses to her sisters, telling them, what happened, how, she's assuming that they're going to be so sad for her, they're going to help her, they're going to console her. Instead, they secretly, they want to become Eros's wives. They go up to the high peak, like she had, thinking that, they jump, Zephyros, the god of the wind, is going to catch them, and they'll be taken to the palace and become Eros's wife, but no. Zephyros was nowhere to be found, and the two sisters died. So now Psyche lost her husband, betrayed by her sisters, who are now dead. So she's wandering, she's searching for Eros, she's distraught, and Demeter, goddess of agriculture, pities the girl, tells Psyche, go to Aphrodite, beg her for forgiveness. Psyche is given 3 trials by Aphrodite that Aphrodite keeps thinking that she's going to fail, but she has helpers that help her to succeed at these trials. Aphrodite had been tending to the wounds of her son. She found out that he deceivingly married Aphrodite, this woman who she's jealous of. And now here comes Psyche begging Aphrodite for forgiveness. So, as any catty, jealous woman would, or she gives Psyche trials that she thinks Psyche, no way she's going to pass. She's given all these grains, these poppy seeds, these, barley, beans, wheat, and she's told she needs to sort them all. They're all mixed together, and she's told she needs to sort them by midnight. So Psyche totally breaks down. She's despair. She's losing it. And an ant witnesses the exchange, takes pity on her, and instructs his colony to help her sort these barrels. Aphrodite is surprised and outraged that she's able to accomplish this task, so of course gives her another one. She's supposed to shear all of these angry, violent rams. She doesn't think she's going to be able to do this. She's desperate. She tries to drown herself. Out of the river tells her, don't pollute my waters with your pitiful death. But then helps her out by telling her, wait for the rams to be calmed by the cooler weather, and then attempt to shear them then. That'll be your best chance. So she listens, she waits for it to get cooler, and she's safely able to shear the ram. Last task. Aphrodite gives her one more, tells her to gather the black water from the river Styx in a crystal cup. The river is across this treacherous cliff that Psyche's going to have to risk her life in order to climb and pass. This time Zeus, he takes pity on her and sends an eagle to help her fly across this treacherous cliff. She's able to gather the water and accomplish this third task. So fourth and final task. Gosh, Aphrodite won't give up. But Psyche's given a golden box and told to go travel to the underworld and retrieve a bit of beauty from Persephone, goddess of the spring, queen of the underworld, who I also spoke of in one of my previous reviews. Story I spoke of in another review, which I will link below if you want to learn about Persephone. However, Persephone, who's the goddess of the spring, goddess of the underworld, she's also super, super gorgeous. Psyche, again, thinks this task is near impossible, tries to kill herself. Climbs a tall tower, is about to jump, but the tower speaks to her and tells her how she's going to be able to accomplish this. She's supposed to go to the border of Sparta and find a passageway to the underworld. Psyche finds that when she gets to the underworld, Persephone is more than willing to share with her a bit of the beauty to put into the box, but as she's carrying the box back to Aphrodite, she gets curious. Curiosity overcomes her and she opens the box. Instead of finding a sample of beauty, she finds a black cloud, which puts her into a deep sleep. So at this point, Eros is healed from his wound and he takes pity on his wife. He's still in love with her. He got wounded by his arrow of love and he goes to find her. He finds Psyche, he awakens her with one of his arrows and takes the box to Aphrodite before going in search of Zeus to plead his case. Zeus is single, obviously, because he goes to Zeus to plead his case to let them marry. And I guess probably make her an immortal as well as him so they're able to wed. I don't know all the rules with gods and goddesses or mortals and gods marrying, apparently. Zeus agrees to help Eros and Psyche in exchange that next time Zeus sees a maiden that he's attracted to, Cupid's going to help him out and poke her with one of his love arrows and make her fall in love with him. I'd make a sarcastic comment on men, but I'm going to leave that one out. Zeus calls for Hermes, the messenger god, to gather all the rest of the gods, and they have an assembly where Zeus warns Aphrodite not to bring any harm to Psyche again, before handing Psyche the Ambrosia, which is the drink of the gods, and grants her immortality. Then Psyche and Cupid are married, and they have a celebration. Eros and Psyche eventually have a child named Hedone, who is the goddess of pleasure. Psyche becomes known as the goddess of the soul. Long story, I know. However, that is the story behind Psyche, who was the inspiration for this beautiful, beautiful fragrance that I love. Again, you are able to purchase it from So Avant Garde. They generously gave me a coupon for CAT20. You can use that coupon code to get 20% off of any fragrance that So Avant Garde carries, except for Mind Games. If you're interested in experiencing Psyche for yourself, I encourage you to do so from So Avant Garde. Thanks for sticking around if you stayed for the entirety of that story. I know it's kind of detailed, but Greek mythology tends to be rather elaborate. Again, my name is Catherine. Thanks for stopping by my channel. If you like videos like this, please make sure to give it a like so that YouTube will share it with more people like yourself who might be interested in the content of this video. If you like videos like this, please make sure to also hit subscribe. And thanks for stopping by my channel. I love you all. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all soon. Mwah.